On her own. Guys, they didn't have a TV, so they made babies. Anyway, we had a family of 10. I was child number 6. When my dad died at age 39, I knew early on, I was 12 years old at the time, that I had to go to work to help my mom. I got my first job babysitting at age 12, making $25 a week. And I'm sharing this story because we've all had challenges in our life. But regardless of what those challenges are in our lives, to the extent that we persist, we can become anything that we want to become. We cannot fall back on excuses. Anyone can make an excuse, but we've got to press ahead. I got a job babysitting, making $25 a week to help me to buy my school clothes. And it also helped my mom put food on the table. It was then that I began to develop a relationship with money. I began to learn to respect the dollar. I learned that with it, I had a medium of exchange and that I could obtain things. I could buy my school clothes. I can help my mom buy food. I learned that without it, I couldn't. Now, I learned early on that with it, I didn't have to rely on people or institutions, for that matter, for my sustenance. Conversely, my mom, in a sense, relied on me. Now, having money, sufficiency, it gave me a sense of freedom that I learned early on that I didn't want to live without. I always wanted to be in a position to where I could take care of myself. I developed a determination to always provide for myself. Again, I was 12 years old. But also what went on during that time was after my dad died, my mother could not afford to pay rent. So we were forcibly separated as a family and put in foster care. Each of my siblings were put in separate foster homes. And when that happened, it also developed within me a sense of determination. I thought to myself, I never ever want to experience my family being forcibly separated again. Now, my oldest sister was able to get us out of the foster care and to bring us together under one roof. But we all had a role to play. And fortunately, I continued with odd jobs while I was going to school, babysitting and the like, to help support myself and my family. To help pay for college, I went to work for Wells Fargo Bank part-time as a bank teller. Now, that opened the door to understanding more about money and banking and how it influenced one's quality of life. It became so intriguing to me that I later decided I was going to make a career out of banking. Now, following a successful banking career, I was offered the opportunity to come into the securities industry. I was approached by Edward Jones, and they told me about the opportunity to become a financial advisor and how I can not only help people with their money, but I can also help myself, because they shared with me the opportunity not only to become a financial advisor with Edward Jones, but to become a partner with the firm. I accepted partnership with Edward Jones in 2006, and we've continued building a successful practice ever since. Now, along the way, I consciously made a point that I wanted to give back because, again, coming from a family of 10 children, having been forcibly separated from my home, making a conscious decision that I didn't want to have to rely on other people, but I wanted to always be in a position where I could take care of myself and my family, meaning my mom in particular. Along the way, I've made that conscious decision to give back, and that's why I so willingly agreed to participate on this call today. Now, I'd like to just jump right into the information that I'd like to share. I want to cover 3 areas as it relates to financial literacy. Number 1, budgeting. Number 2, saving. And thirdly, investing. And it all begins with budgeting. And as I mentioned earlier, early on at the age of 12, I developed a relationship with money. I made $25 a week babysitting. And from that $25, now things were a whole lot cheaper back then, but I was able to not only help buy my school clothes, but I helped my mother buy food. So I learned to respect the dollar. I knew that I couldn't squander it, that I had to be very conscious and very intentional on how I spent it. I learned to budget. And it starts with budgeting. Your income cannot be less than your outgo. You know, there's a simple formula that goes income minus outgo equals cash flow. Okay, so and to the extent that we've got the cash flow, then that positions us to do other things. And it's very basic. Income minus outgo equals cash flow. We've got to get a handle on our spending. Okay, to quote Warren Buffett, ideally, we always want to be in a position, we always want to live below our means. Now, we go as far as providing clients, when we meet with clients as a financial advisor, we provide them with a monthly budget worksheet. And we provide this budget worksheet to them upfront as a part of our financial planning process, because it starts there. It starts with identifying what sources of income they have, what their expenses are, and what they have at the end. It all starts there, because to the extent that the expenses are exceeding the income, we have to stop right there and put them on a plan to get those expenses under control. Now, what we also encourage individuals to do, and this takes me back to my early years in banking, when I would go out to college campuses and I would, as a banker, make credit cards available to students. In hindsight, that was one of the worst things I could have done, because what it did was it put students in a credit trap. They didn't understand how to use credit, and they used it excessively, and it caused them financial harm. So if you get into financial challenges with credit card debt, you can get out. It's not, you're not at the end of the road, you know, you don't give up, but you seek help in getting out of credit card debt, and we have resources to help people with that. But you want to the extent that you can, avoid the credit card trap. Credit cards were designed as a convenience, not a crutch, okay? And credit cards are one of the highest, most expensive forms of credit. So again, we always encourage individuals to avoid that trap, but to the extent that they get in it, we can help them get out. All right, so that's budgeting, income minus outgo equals cash flow. We start there. Number 2, saving. You always want to prepare for the unexpected. It's not the expected that catches us off guard. It's the unexpected. And there's a guarantee in life, unexpected expenses will happen. As our managing partner, John Bachman, said, he said it best. He says, if you can't predict the future, you've got to plan for it. So we always encourage investors to keep an emergency fund. Before we even begin building an investment plan, we encourage them to build an an emergency fund now. Knowing that these you young men are young, and some of you are just starting out in life as far as careers and such. This is information that you can digest now that will help you down the road. And I think another positive of having an Edward Jones advisor that just happens to be me, and I say Edward Jones in general because the firm has a structure to where we open offices in the communities in which the advisors live. So there are over 15,000 Edward Jones offices nationwide. This firm can be a major resource because we have information that can help you. So to the extent there's an Edward Jones office in your community, I would encourage you to get to know that advisor, because we're all encouraged to share information with individuals, even if they don't have a lot of money to invest. So tap into resources to the extent that you can, where you can get information that's going to help you. Okay, so moving on. We want to build that emergency fund. You want to always have, again, funds set aside for that rainy day. Ideally, to determine the amount it takes to live each month, and then multiply that times 6, lets you know about how much you should have in an emergency fund. To the extent that you can do that, that's great, because you're building a solid financial foundation. But that's something that you want to work towards. Thirdly, investing. There are 2 types of investing. There's passive investing and active investing. Now, passive investing is an area where the majority of Americans build the preponderance of their net worth. And that is participating in a company-sponsored retirement plan. And I encourage anyone that goes to work for a company. I was 19 years old when I went to work for Wells Fargo Bank. I immediately began participating in the company-sponsored retirement plan, having a portion of my money taken out of my paycheck pre-tax. Now, that's considered passive investing because it's money that never gets to your hands, but it comes out off the top. The benefit of that is that, number one, you're paying yourself first. Secondly, you're paying less to the IRS by reducing your taxable income. And thirdly, you're putting your money in investments that have the ability to average an 6 to 8% return. And to the extent that you get involved doing this sooner than later, you're positioning yourself for building wealth over time. It's a passive way of investing that will have a substantial impact on your net worth over time if you start young. Now, some of us might think, oh my gosh, well, I'm putting this money away. I can't touch it until I'm retired. Well, there are provisions that will allow you to tap into those funds for life's changes. For example, first-time home buyers, you have the ability to withdraw a portion of those 401k plans, a portion of the funds in a 401k plan without penalty. Also for higher educational expenses. So there are instances or expenses that you can tap into those funds and access in the future should you need to do so. We don't encourage that, but to the extent that you need to do so, you can leverage future investments such as the purchase of a home from funds that you have in a 401k plan. So pre-tax, again, investing position you to do three things: pay yourself first, reduce your taxable income, and put your money to work for you in investments yielding significant returns higher than what you're going to get in the bank. Now, based on the rule of 72, if you're averaging an 8% rate of return on your investments, you're going to double your money every 9 years. So passive investing through pre-tax withholdings or participating in a company-sponsored retirement plans is the way to go. And with this investment strategy, it provides you a level of flexibility. Now, there's active investing on the other hand, and this is where you consciously make a decision to invest after-tax dollars for a future goal, whether that goal be for the purchase of an automobile, the purchase of a home, a first home, or a larger home, or for simple estate planning to leave an inheritance for those that you love. The beauty of investing or active investing, before I came into the securities industry, I was under the impression that to work with a financial advisor or an investment advisory firm, you had to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. Not the case. You can begin investing with as little as $50 a month in a mutual fund through a system called dollar cost averaging, which means you're investing a fixed amount, $50 or $100 on a monthly basis or more. And you're doing that systematically or regularly. In dollar or through the process of dollar cost averaging, you're generally buying more shares at the lower price and fewer shares at the higher price. And just to give you an example, I ran an illustration last night on Visa. And I'm sure many of you have heard of Visa. You probably have a Visa card in your wallet right now. But Visa went public in 2008. So Visa has only been publicly trading now for 12 years. Had you invested, you can invest as little as $100 a month in Visa and own Visa stock. Had you done so 5 years ago, just invested $100 in Visa over the last 5 years, or made 60 installments into Visa at $100 each, out of pocket, you would invest it $6,100. By reinvesting your dividends in that 5-year period of investing in Visa, the value of your investment would be $9,790.18. So a $6,100 investment 5 years later would be valued at $9,790. And that's simply investing $100 a month. And Visa is only one of over 300 companies that you can dollar cost average in. So to the extent that you can just discipline yourself to pull just to it, don't buy the coffee, cut down on some other things or expenses, frivolous expenses that you might have, and make a decision that you want to improve your life. You want your life to be in a better place 5 years from now than where it is today. By just doing something small, like investing $100 a month or $50 a month, you will build wealth over time. And you can do so through any Edward Jones investment advisor. Okay. So that is one example of active investing. Visa is just one example again. You can do so with Costco. You can do so with, Amazon is trading at over $3,000 a share, but you'd ultimately own a share of Amazon. You can dollar cost average in Amazon. But this is a sampling of the broad world of investing, and it starts with that budget. Identifying, first of all, what your income is, maintaining control or a handle on your expenses so that you have cash flow and you can do these other things. But to the extent that you're working for a company that offers a retirement plan, many companies don't offer 401k plans. That is indeed a benefit. And with those plans, some companies will provide what we call a company match, meaning they will match your contribution up to a certain percent. A company match is free money. So you want to begin participating in a company-sponsored retirement plan early on, because that is going to favorably impact your net worth over time, or the value, or it's going to help you build wealth over time, 1 month at a time. Investing, whether passive or active, you want to get started, sooner than later. And to the extent that you have questions about investing and you want to call me about it, I am more than happy to answer questions for you and to help you get going in that process. There's also other resources out there that you can participate in too. I mean, I understand online there's an app called Robinhood. And then too, there's E-Trade. There's just a number of resources out there that are available to you technologically that you can begin an investment plan with. And then again, the sooner you get started, the better, because it's not timing the market. When should I make the investment in a given stock? You make the investment when you have the money. So it's not about timing the market, but it's time in the market that makes the difference. The sooner you get going, and the longer you stay invested, the greater the favorable impact. And then work with someone, work with an advisor along the way to provide information and advice and resources. So it's time in the market that makes the difference. The longer you're invested, the greater the potential return. Budgeting, saving, investing, it's a simple strategy to help you build wealth 1 month at a time. What questions do you have?
Thank you, Arnetta, for that. You were dropping a lot of jewels there that I wish I had when I was 18 years old. Gentlemen, please feel free to ask any questions you may have. Having a financial advisor in front of you right now to ask any questions is, I both will shake our head and say, we wish we had this back in the day. So please.
Yes. Hello, my name is Louis Avila, and thank you for sharing all that information. That was very valuable. Yes, fortunately I just became debt free, and I didn't really have that much.
Hallelujah, Louis.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
So I'm trying to find out, because I've been following up with a guy named Dave Ramsey, and
yes.
and so the thing is that I'm struggling with is baby step number 1, which is saving $1,000. And however, I was able to get debt free. So I feel like my steps that I've been following is going out of order, but I'm still making progress. Any advice on that $1,000 I can,
Okay, so Louis, you said you're trying to save $1,000?
Yes, that's just the beginning step of the emergency fund for me.
Okay, so you've eliminated debt, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're working?
Yes.
Okay.
Part-time.
All right.
I work part-time for Amazon.
Say that again?
I work part-time for Amazon right now.
I see. All right, so, Okay, part-time, as a part-time employee, you may not have the ability to participate in the retirement plan, right? Or have you looked into that?
Correct. I don't have you know, the 401k. I don't really not unless if I was full time, I would get like, you know, more access.
Okay, okay. Well, let's just take it where you are. You're working part-time for Amazon. Now, though you have no debt, is your income sufficient to take care of your basic living expenses?
No.
Ah,
Actually,
okay,
my income is less than my expenses.
okay, okay, okay. Well, you know, it's now what you want to do is look at the expenses to see if there's any way you can begin to trim them.
Yes.
Okay, that's one step. And then secondly, I mean, you're going to school too, is that right?
Yes, full time.
Okay, so that's an investment in itself. And, you know, to the extent that you're pursuing a higher education, you've got to give yourself room to do that. Meaning you can't put too many demands on yourself. You've already accomplished one goal. You've paid off, you're debt free. The next, you're making a personal investment in yourself. So, you know, to the extent that you can save that $1,000 as the first step towards building that emergency fund, so be it. But if your income is not enough to allow you to do that, then you've got to be practical because your first priority, it sounds, is your education. And you're getting that while you're working part-time. So I would encourage you to continue to pursue that education if over time your employment situation allows you to get more hours while you're continuing on your education plan, so be it. But if not, you've got to be very practical with yourself and realize, you know, I'm going to school full time. I can only work so many hours. If another opportunity presents itself that gives you more income, again, while pursuing that education, because your education, Lewis, is so important. You don't want to put that on the back burner. You want to continue to pursue that. But don't put unnecessary pressure on yourself. Ideally, it's great to build that emergency fund, get that first $1,000 saved, but it may take you a little longer to do it. But right now, if your expenses exceed your income, it's just not realistic for you to accomplish that goal, in my opinion, while you're pursuing your education full time. You know, sometimes you've just got to be realistic with the situation.
Yes.
I mean, I hope that was helpful, but
yes, it is.
you know, you've got to be practical. You can only do what you can do.
Yes. So for school wise, I should be finished by next year because I'm just going for my certificate.
Yes.
And that's my goal. So I should be finished by that.
Now, what are you planning to do professionally, Lewis?
Architectural drafting.
Okay. Have you already begun to consider the avenue and what companies might be of interest?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're going to be done with your certification in a year, you want to start, you know, begin that process. And I understand the organization has made available to you, you know, interviewing and, you know, presenting yourself in a professional way. You're in an organization or with an organization that has provided or will continue to provide resources for you along that line, which is great. But, you know, at some point you want to begin to consider what companies you might want to look into once you're done with your certification.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Louis. Anybody else have a question? Junior?
How's it going, Harnetta? I really enjoyed your presentation today. It was very helpful and like very informative.
Good, Junior. Junior, my brother's name is my brother was named after my dad, Roy Van, but he's a junior and we call him Junior. So Junior is very familiar to me, Junior. I'll never forget your name.
The funny thing about it is that that's actually my real name, like
Okay.
legitly. Yeah, so that's it's
It's a
a
unique name, Junior.
yeah, I appreciate it. But I wanted to ask you a question about having like owning credit cards, right? Because
Yeah.
you made an interesting point that it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that it's wise to kind of avoid applying for having a credit card. But
Well,
the
you
thing,
want to avoid a credit card trap, Junior. Okay.
okay, okay,
Credit
all
cards
right.
are there for convenience, meaning if you use a credit card, you've got the money to pay it off within 30
Mhm.
days. I mean, that's the ideal. Some people use it as a crutch, meaning they don't have the cash flow to fund expenses.
Mhm.
So they leverage credit card debt. And that
Mm,
can be a serious problem down the road.
okay, okay.
That's,
And
yeah.
oh no, continue.
Yeah. So that's the point that I want to make because as I pointed out, as a banker, we made credit cards available to college students. In
Mhm.
hindsight, that was not a good thing because many of them would, I mean, later we would talk to them and they were so deep in debt until they couldn't figure out how to pay it. Credit card debt, Junior, is one of the highest forms of debt, meaning it's
Mhm.
expensive. They'll woo you in with 0% interest. But then over time, that 0% interest goes away and that rate jumps literally overnight to 24.9% or higher.
That's a lot.
So there's no fixed investment instrument that's going to guarantee you a 24% return. So to the extent that you're paying expensive money to banks, double digits, whether it's 10% or more, it's expensive money, Junior. And a lot of
Mhm.
folks start out with good intentions at that 0% interest rate. Something happens, they lose their job. There's a medical crisis and they cannot pay the bill before that interest rate goes up to that double digit. And they're stuck with that for a period of time. I've done, as a former banker, I was a lender. I did consolidation loans. And, credit card consolidation was an area that we would not touch because it was so easy for people to get back into it. But we would counsel them and help them out of it. But it can be a spiral financially,
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
downward spiral financially. So again, it's there for convenience and it requires a level of discipline to use it only under those conditions of
Mm.
convenience and not as a crutch. Do you
I
understand what I'm
see.
saying, Junior?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I've got credit cards but they don't have me. I have no credit card debt and haven't had credit card debt for years because I know what it can do to a person. It can erode one's financial base
mhm.
quickly.
And I also heard that even if you have like, let's say you have like $1,000 on your credit card, right? That you could
Yeah,
use up on. I heard that it's not recommended that you go past a certain percentage.
that's
Can you
right.
like explain a little bit about that?
Of course, Junior, former banker, and even in today's environment, if you've got $1,000 limit on your credit card, you really don't want to use any more than 30% of it.
Mm,
Because to the extent
okay,
that you get as high as 50%, that can have a negative impact on your credit score.
I see.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they look at the availability of credit versus your usage rate. And to
Mhm.
the extent that the usage rate, revolving credit in particular, revolving credit dings you more on your credit report than fixed credit. For example, if you have a fixed personal loan with the bank and you're paying that over time, say you borrowed $1,000 and you have $700 outstanding, but then you have that same credit card with $1,000 line and the $700 outstanding balance. That credit card, because it is a revolving form of credit, it's going to count more towards you to the negative on your credit report than having $700 outstanding on a fixed personal loan that's not revolving.
I see.
Mhm.
So it's recommended to use like at most 30%.
30% is the guideline.
Wow. All right, then
Yeah.
that was very helpful. All right, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great question, Junior. Anyone else have a question for Ms. Tolley?
I got a question.
Okay.
Just two brief questions. I want to know if you had any insight on PPP for people with an EIN number but may not have employees but could benefit from a PPP loan. And then the other one is, do you know anything about life insurance? Because I met a guy, I think he worked for like New York Life, and he was dropping a lot of knowledge on me about life insurance and all the different types and the way people choose the wrong forms of life insurance. And then like all these ways that you can borrow from your life insurance if you had a certain type. And I did reach out to him and during COVID and wasn't able to reconnect, but I would like to, but also I was just curious, like if I could find someone else that understands that type of information. I was just curious, do you have any insight on either of those two things?
Good questions, Will. PPP loan, I don't. I don't have information on that. That's not my area of expertise. Life insurance, yes. Life insurance is the foundation of every sound financial plan. We need to ensure that there is protection in the event, again, of the unexpected. So there are a variety of forms of life insurance out there, as you pointed out. And what we help investors do is identify the right protection or the right type of insurance they should have. And yes, insurance can also be an investment vehicle. It can also be an estate planning vehicle, because as you're probably aware, life insurance benefits come tax-free to the beneficiaries. So, and through a life insurance plan, you can set up a tax-free income in retirement. So yes, life insurance is our area of expertise. And yes, we can help you in answering questions along that line.
Okay, I definitely would definitely want to follow up with that, because I did have from a personal perspective, I did have a bad experience with the unexpected death and dealing with not really having the right plan, but also not having my estate prepared as well. Like we learned a lot just dealing with the federal government when you lose someone and not being prepared, all these different taxes they can hit you with, and, you know, it was a lot. Yes, and the estate can really hold your estate hostage, if I'm not mistaken. It was pretty, I wasn't the one really conducting it, but I witnessed a lot of it, and I definitely saw like the other side of when somebody passes, and it's not funny.
Now, do you know if the assets were in a trust or were they in the individual's name that died?
Honestly, I just know the main thing was we let one of the life insurance lapse, and then the other thing was whatever happened with the estate. That I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I know if we didn't come up with a certain amount of money and all this other stuff, you know, the estate would have, you know, it would have been an issue, but you know, luckily things worked out. But we did pay taxes though, because we did have a small life plan, but I recall not getting like a flat sum. I remember having to pay some to the federal government. I feel like it was like 20%.
Hmm.
But
Well,
not.
yeah, it sounds like someone died without a living trust, or they died and their assets went into probate. And yeah, that is, again, our area of expertise. And we counsel and advise clients to protect their estates in the event of their death, or in preparation of same, and how they can best pass on those assets to their loved ones or their beneficiaries with minimal, if any, taxes.
I mean, I literally saw the person finishing out their will on their deathbed. It was like and I know we're not the only ones who's been through that, but in our community, we're just not really prepared for death. You know,
Bill, you are absolutely right. That is information. Yeah, that's an area that we are consistently counseling individuals about and informing them, because people don't know. They don't realize that if they own property in the state of California, and if that property is not in a trust at their death, that property will go into probate, or it can go to probate if it's in a husband and wife name with joint survivorship, and both individuals pass simultaneously on an airplane or in a car accident, and that the property is not in a trust, it will go into probate. And that can cause problems. Probate can last anywhere from 2 to 7 years. And it could be a serious problem. So yes, we definitely have information as it relates to estate protection,
so I can send you an email
and planning. Mm-hmm.
So I can send you like an email to follow up with you, or you can connect me.
Absolutely, Will. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I will provide the appropriate contact information for Arnetta. We'll get that to you all. Great questions. We have Arnetta for about 10 more minutes. We've had it for the hour. If anyone had any other questions, these were great.
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Continue.
Nah, brother, you good.
Oh, okay. Just one quick question I want to ask. So I'm preparing to graduate this spring, and I know a lot of us are going to be preparing to do so, like, you know, whether it's in a year or two. So like when we get, you know, that career, and, you know, I can speak personally for myself, you know, that's going to be a lot of money that I've never experienced before. Like from the personal perspective, how do we build that discipline to be able to just invest and think about the future? Because you know how you said, like, you know, not getting that expensive cup of coffee, or
right,
you know, not getting that sweater or them Jordans that you want. How do you build that discipline? Because I know in the back of my mind, and sometimes when we're young, we think about like, yo, I just made this money, I just want to, you know, splurge a little bit. Like, how do we build that?
Build a rapport with an advisor, someone that will give you information and advice just for doing so. And again, Edward Jones advisors will do that. Because you want access to information. Starting that career, as I pointed out earlier, if they offer a company-sponsored retirement plan, because yes, you're probably going to, you know, if you're fortunate, you're going to be making a pretty good income. So you're going to need to know how to best leverage that income. And by participating in the company-sponsored retirement plan, if they offer an employee stock purchase plan, these are ways you can begin to build wealth for yourself immediately. And in doing so, you're going to minimize the exposure of using that money fraudulently. Also, speaking with an advisor will give you an hour and a half, 2 hours of free consultation. So what I would advise you to do as soon as you start that new job, hook up with an advisor for that free consultation. And because that person has a wealth of information, they'll be able to help you look at that company-sponsored retirement plan. Now, we can't advise you on that plan if we're not if we're not over that plan. However, we can provide some guidelines and information and point you in the right direction as to who you can talk to about getting the advice that you need on that plan. We can also help you to identify what percentage of your income that you should begin investing, and other resources that are available to you to help leverage that amount of income that you're receiving.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Great question, Jafar. Any other questions for Arnetta?
Yes, I had two brief questions if I could. Yes, ma'am. So first and foremost, what reliable databases would you suggest if someone was looking for startup companies to invest in that they thought would be fruitful down the future?
Okay, startup companies to invest in, what do you mean, from a stock purchase standpoint or from a direct investment standpoint in the company?
From a stock standpoint, like for like farms or like farmers or anything like that.
Okay, that's a great question. We do get that question from time to time from either existing clients or new investors. Now, there are startup companies out there that when they go public, they offer penny stock, many of them, or some of them will simply offer an IPO. First of all, as it relates to penny stock, and these are companies that are trading for $5 or less, we generally don't encourage that, because investing in a sound, well-known company is risky enough. So we feel that that is generally too speculative. Not that sometimes they don't work, but 90% of the time they don't. So investing in penny stock is something that we strongly discourage. But to the extent that there is a company out there that's about to go public or that has recently gone public, and you want research information on as to whether or not it might be a good investment, we can obtain that information for you and provide you with a professional opinion.
Thank you so much. And I'll utilize your contact information for that. My last question, which is so brief, is what's the difference between a no-load fund and a load fund?
Okay, great question. A no-load fund means there's no upfront commission. A load fund means there is an upfront commission. Upfront commissions can range anywhere from 5.75% to 0%. Generally speaking, the more money you invest in a loaded fund, the less you're going to pay. A no-load fund means there's a perception that if you go into a no-load fund, you're paying less, but that may not necessarily be the case. You know, if you're going into what we call C shares that have no load or no cost up front, but the internal expenses are very high. But the simple answer, a no load fund means there is no commission up front. A loaded fund means there is a commission, and that commission can range anywhere, again, from 5.75% to, if you're investing, generally speaking, $1 million or more, you pay nothing.
Thank you so much for your answers.
You're so welcome.
All
Can
right,
you
brother.
speak on stock options? Option trading, I meant.
Okay, this
Like
is be the last question. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Will.
And you know, the answer is going to be short, only because though we are licensed for options trading, we don't. Our firm does not do options trading because, in our opinion, it's just a bet. It's a gamble. We don't believe in gambling investors' money, so we do not options trade for that reason.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, great questions. Again, I want to thank Arnetta Tolley for coming in and giving us her time today. It's a great presentation. And thanks again, Dr. Hart, for allowing her to come in and share with us. And hopefully we'll get her information and we'll be able to ask more questions. I know some of the guys couldn't make it today, but we're going to share with them as well. So anything to add, Dr. Hart?
Yeah, Arnetta, just on behalf of the AMEND organization, I thank you so much for enlightening these young men in a way today that we don't get often in our community. And it's so important that we have that economic knowledge so that we can continue to make the change, not only for ourselves, but for our families. And, thank you for sharing the way you opened up with, that connection. I know I connected with you. I know others connected with you, and just seeing you, hearing your success makes it even that much more possible for us to have similar success. So we thank you for your time. We thank you for your knowledge. And we just thank you for being, as my dad would say, good people.
Oh, absolutely, Jeremy. And back to the question about my information, Jeremy, feel free to share my information with any of the participants that want it. And I am more than happy to be responsive to any other questions that you all might have.
Appreciate you so much. Appreciate you. You have a great day, Arnetta. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And I wish the best to all of you. And hopefully I'll hear from some of you, okay?
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am. You as well.
Thank you.
Hey, brother, stay on for a second. I just want to make the announcement that next Saturday, we're going to have our webinar, transitioning from anti-blackness to pro-black. So make sure you come in. It's no longer voluntary, it's mandatory. So it's going to be a great webinar. I think Monique has already sent out the link, or Dr. Green has sent out the link to all the mentees. So let's check in next Saturday. It's going to be great.
Oh, what time is that again, Brett? Was it like 10?
11, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock next Saturday.
Okay.
I like this going trend of this 11 o'clock meetings. I like it a lot.
And then we're going to also hear from another financial advisor. One of our mentees found an advisor I think he's on the coast. So maybe sometime in December, we'll take a break over the Thanksgiving holiday and then reconvene again in December.
Gentlemen, Arnetta started off about budgeting. And I believe Jafar brought up a great point about you all coming into money when you get into your careers, and you wanting to buy those new whatever, you feel you deserved it. You had those late nights. You're like, I deserve this. I deserve this splurge. You absolutely want to live. You absolutely do want to live, but you also do want to prepare. And for those of you that are still in school, one of the things that definitely helped me when I was going through for my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, those of you from LA, I lived off 135th and Cornbloom, if you know about Hawthorne.
Hey, 135th.
Exactly. And I had my floor model TV that my mama gave me. I didn't have cable. I used to listen to the Laker games on the radio, and people would clown me. They'd be like, "Oh man, how you even bring a girl over here, man? Like this." But I knew I was saving money so I could pay for my master's degree because I didn't want to get a loan, and I was on a payment plan. So the Cal State allows you to do a payment plan. I knew I didn't want to get any loans, so I did without just a simple, $45 a month for my cable bill, which sounds like a little, but it ended up being a lot. That helped me pay for all of my master's degree. No loans. And now I hear people complaining about, I owe this much money, Not me, because I was able to do without that, and now I got cable, right? So you do without, and you'll be okay. It's tough when you all are in the grind, and you do want to splurge, but now it went from me waiting for cable to me waiting for a house, waiting for a pool, waiting for all these things. You just get that discipline. So
Jeremy,
questions today.
Jeremy, can I ask you a question on that front? Because I'm kind of dealing with that, where you were talking about being in school and being able to, pay your tuition without going into debt. I'm guessing that you were at a school where the tuition wasn't like crazy high, like a USC.
Yeah, I was at a Cal State.
So my question to you is like, like me being in film and wanting to get my MFA at like a USC or something because of the calling card. But then when you look at a school like CSUN,
Mm-hmm.
that is like, you know, mad affordable, but it doesn't necessarily have a calling card. It is ranked 25 in the Hollywood Reporter compared
Right.
to USC ranked number 1. But
Right.
I was just curious, like professionally, what should I be just trying to get into USC, or should I, because I feel like I can definitely get into CSUN, but should
Right.
am I settling thinking like that, or you think CSUN is going to be a quality calling card as well?
Well, I want to have a counselor. I want to bounce conversations with Brett right here, counselor to counselor, because I'm a counselor as well. I tell students that I got my doctorate degree from USC. I didn't get into debt from my master's degree, but I got into a little debt from my doctorate. But I tell students, if you're going to go to a USC, if you're going to go to a LMU or something like you said with a calling card, it has to be strategic. I could counsel 10 students today and counsel 5 students tomorrow, and I'm still going to get paid the same. If you enter Hollywood and you go to USC, and I went there, so I didn't believe the hype. I was like, man, I go to Cal State, I can work hard, I can make connections. But then when I got to USC and I started seeing that little Trojan, that for real Trojan connection at the business school, at that film school where there's the Spielberg building and the Lucas building on the side that I used to walk to by the computer lab, you get those types of connections that possibly, if you go on the film, your payday could be bigger than a payday that Brett or I could see if we helped 1,000 kids in one day. So for students thinking to go to a private school, I ask them, what type of business, what type of major, what type of business are you going to go into? And is it going to pay dividends on that? Is your connection going to pay dividends on it? Because again, as a counselor, I could help out 100 kids and do a really good job. And tomorrow I could help out 2. My check is going to still be the same. So strategically, going to USC for a bachelor's degree in sociology or that's not a good business move for me. Brett, as another counselor, I see you shaking your head, but I think you want to add to that.
Yeah, I agree. The higher you get, the more precise you want to be in terms of your choice of college. And so I'm not knocking Northridge. I think Northridge has a great theater program. Not bad if you're talking nationwide. So yeah, I mean, go for SC, no doubt.
Mhm.
But if ending up at Northridge is not that bad.
Right.
You know, you're still gonna have those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing I want to add also to that is that for me, I'm at UC Riverside, and our TAs are the grad students at the School of Business. And so me and my brother, we were taking a class together, and my TA, I asked her, because I'm thinking about, going and getting my master's. And she told me, she said, if to build upon what Jeremy was saying, she said, if you don't know what specifically you want to do with this degree, she's like, don't go into those $1,000 of debt. Because she was already about 2 semesters in. She's like, yo, I regret this. Because she's like, I'm going to get the same job that I would have got with my bachelor's that I got, with this. So I agree with that, because it's like, adding let's say $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in debt for the same position, it's not going to be helping out at all. It's going to be hurting you more than anything.
Oh no, it's not good. That's not how MFA works. The MFA is terminal. It's like a PhD.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and kind of adding on to what Brett said. The CSUN, not a bad school, because again, where it's located at with the film industry, you're in a good spot. You would get most of the internships that are going to be available to a student at USC are going to be available to students at Cal State Northridge. I'll say most. Now, the difference is, again, it's the circle. Who's in your class? Now, just historically, at SC, you might be sitting next to Steven Spielberg's son. That's the catch. But as far as the opportunity, and I'm all for it, and we all Black men on this call, I always say, just give me just this much of opportunity, and I'll make the rest happen. So, in the internships that you'll get, have the opportunities for at CSUN are pretty much the same ones that they'll have at USC. So I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth with this, but it's just, you make the most of whatever it is, and you just be strategic, yo. Be strategic, y'all. I'll tell you, this money thing, it affects every part of your life if you're not strategic with it. it just be strategic. I can go on, be strategic. Brett, you were gonna say
I was gonna say you might be sitting next to Laura Laughlin's kid too.
right. Right.
That part,
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Will. I have a
Yeah.
brother that he's still in LA. He's homegrown out of Inglewood. He graduated from USC's film program, and he just helps out other brothers in the area. Hit me up on Instagram. I'll introduce you. He's a cool brother.
There you go.
All right, I'm gonna hit you on the chat first because I don't think I know your Instagram unless you can message me so I can get it. I don't think I
Oh, it's
got
no
it.
problem. Yeah. Just shoot me a message on the group me, and I'll shoot it to you.
All right, bet. Got you.
Got
Thank
you.
you.
No problem. It's all love.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing that stuck out to me about what she said was you should have 6 times of your income in your savings. I was like, whoa. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'm like, who has that?
But
Especially
If I
LA
had that, I
prices.
wouldn't be in the position I was in the
Wait.
first place.
but here's the thing though. We talking like this because that's not normal for us. People have it. People have it because I don't want to go down the historical rabbit hole. Historically, they were able to get those life insurance policies back in the day and buy property for $2, and now it's worth $1 million, and they're able to do that and have that security. So it has to start with us. I live in a very nice neighborhood. My neighbor, I'm the only black cat on the block. My neighbor next door is a waiter. His wife is a teacher. My neighbor to the other side of me, this is their retirement home. This is my dream home. None of them have above the teacher has a secretary. Well, none of them, only one of them has a bachelor's degree. And I'm sitting up here with a doctorate degree.
Right. So how they get there? Mom's hooked them up.
They had
No. He's talking about long term.
I'm just saying there were things put in place where they invested, they saved. It was easier for them to do it so that they could have those that have access to those monies, the 6 months of money. And I believe it was you, Will, that talked about the life insurance thing. How many of us, we don't have those life insurance policies, but we got rims. And we people going out to buy the PlayStation 5. We doing all these things, but we don't have the life insurance. So it's just, and that's just one example. That's just one example of it. But yeah, 6 months. Look at COVID.
Yeah.
It's affecting people. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible for us, but we just gotta change the way we think and how things are. That's like amazing. It's not. It's real normal for a lot of people.
It is. It really is. That's the truth.
Yeah. No, but you're right,
It's a-
Brett.
it's a painful truth.
And let me say this. I ain't got 6 months. I ain't got 6 months. Now, with that big old rant I just went on, I ain't got 6 months. Not liquid, baby.
Hey, at least you honest though. It is what it is though.
You know what? You all, I will always be 1,000% honest with you all because that's the only way that you all are going to be better than me. And that's why we are here. That's why A2MEND exists. So you all could be better than us.
Yes, sir.
One thing I struggled with when I was in my 20s, when I was young, is I was always worried about what the other guy had or my cousins had, or a lot of people that I hung out with, they had more than I had, and that bothered me. So I had to, when I get my check, I'm getting the new Jordans or whatever. And you just got to stop worrying about what other people have. That's like the first step.
Word. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Brett. And that's a mentality that we have very, very bad. Just we got to have the freshest, newest thing that's really not going to appreciate or add to our dream, add to our goal. Jordans are great. Some new rims is great, but is that really going to help me get to where I want to be so I can help out my mama, help out my daddy, help out my future kids? You really just got to think like that. And it's a very mature mature point of view in your 18, 19, 20-year-old, you know,
I got a question as well too.
Sure, Junior.
What if this is okay? So, from my point of view, when it comes to like buying shoes and clothes and stuff like that, I make sure that I buy like good clothes, like Levi's jeans, or like shoes that I'll wear for long term, as well as like dress shoes as well. And I make sure I keep them like good, and like I buy the good quality ones that will last for a long time as well. Would that be like also good like investment in that too? Because those type of things that you bought are like they'll last for like a long time, So that kind of like will that kind of like make sure that you don't spend more on clothes because in the end you're kind of good.
Well, I think that goes back to what Arnetta said about budgeting.
Yeah.
You know, it's how much money do you have for that, and where's that money coming from, and what are your other expenses? So, yeah, that sounds good as long as it's within your budget.
Yeah. Am I making sense, or is it like
No, you absolutely are. No, you absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, you absolutely are.
Bro, you on point. You on point.
for sure.
Just don't use credit cards to buy them.
Right. That part.
Yeah.
That credit card trap is real.
It is super real. And what she said about being on college campuses, Brett and I are old enough to remember this. Obama was the person that stopped that. Obama. And like Brett and I were in college a long time ago. Like Obama was in the person. So every year there would be credit card companies on campus. When I went to Long Beach back in 97, 96 actually, I remember I still got the credit card. This guy was like, "Hey, you want a free shirt?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, you want to just sign up for this credit card? You get a $500 limit automatically." And I was like, "Automatically? It's a Carl's Jr. on campus. Guess what? Go get my double Western bacon cheeseburger with my new shirt." And now, and the Lakewood Mall is down the street. So guess what else I'm doing? So it's a snowball. And I was making $5.25 an hour at the grocery store. It took me out of that. But it happened just like that. And that's predatory because it was just that simple. Just that, hey, you want a credit card? And I was 18. So it's real. What Brett has said is so real. Stay away from that.
I didn't even have a job and they gave me a credit card.
What'd you say?
A credit card.
you didn't have a job, Brett?
No.
Yeah. So you definitely just want to be aware of that. Gentlemen, you all got, and I'll get the information from Arnetta, the 3 points that she said today, 3 basic points, but just really, process and chew on what she really told you all today, because it's simple, but those are just the keys to freedom. And she said that, with her own personal story, having wealth, having finances, having that dollar equaled freedom for her. And she didn't have to ask, she said, anybody or an institution. I worked in the foster care system. She's talking about the system. She's talking about welfare. She's talking about Section 8. I don't have to depend on the institution for money. Real talk, just chew on what she said, because she was giving y'all real knowledge at this age. It's worth more than $1 million, what she just told y'all.
Yeah. Her story was really touching, 10, family of 10, and losing her dad at 39. That's crazy. Couldn't
Mama
imagine.
was 37 with 10 kids. That's a lot.
I was like, hey, that's a movie right there.
It is a movie.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just listen to everybody's story, especially Dr. Hart's. Can we, in some form or fashion, just make like a list, whether it's like I don't know, another group me or whatever, just talking about how we save money, like other ways we save money. And like the older we get, the more money we accumulate, we're going to be saving more money and saving more money to build more wealth long term. So I think it'll help long term.
Mm-hmm. So you said a list of just like kind of tricks and trade of how we.
Yeah, because I didn't even think about the way you put it, the way that you were talking about saving up and staying away from like predatory stuff like loans or credit cards. And everybody else was like, Brother Will was talking about other stuff that he's doing in like the film industry I never even heard of. So if he's doing that to save money, like that's valuable knowledge too. Everybody's got something valuable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. yeah. Brett and I'll put our heads together and come up with something. But yeah, no, we absolutely. This is great. This is great that you all are just having these conversations and even thinking these thoughts at this young of an age. And what Brett just said a second ago about the credit card trap and just the debt trap in general is so real. Just really think. Just think and lean on each other. You know, you don't have to count nobody's pockets or nothing like that, but just think. Just think before you put yourself in any type of debt, because it's so easy, and you're at it, all of a sudden you're drowning.
I have a question. So I just got accepted into a nursing program on the East Coast. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
congrats,
move
congrats.
and I don't have a job yet, and I don't want to get a job. Oh, that's only gonna last like 3 or 4 weeks because after training, and then have to move up and leave, and then I don't have any solid foundation when I get there. So I was wondering, do you have any advice? Because I really don't want to take out that big of a loan, because it's going to be like 60,000
Mhm. Mhm.
My internet is real
a year, and it's a year and a half.
Okay. And you don't have any family or anybody over there where you're going to go?
No,
No. Okay. Any scholarships available?
I got a couple, so that's going to be like 28,000 off the bat. So I'm good on that part, but I'm still applying for more. But it's not guaranteed that I'm going to even get more than that. So I'm like, is there any advice that you might have for me?
When are you headed out?
Late December,
Oh, wow.
early January. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's around the corner.
I
Okay.
didn't even know I was going to get accepted. That's why I was like, oh,
Okay. Well, I mean, now we have to be realistic, and now we have to explore what types of aid, what types of, is it, you're doing undergraduate, correct? Or is it graduate?
yes.
Undergraduate? And so are you receiving federal grants as well?
FAFSA, FESOG,
Okay. Okay.
not
And
Cal
so
Grants anymore.
I have
on top of your,
a list of scholarship resources that I try to provide for you too.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be your it sounds like that's going to be your best option given the time frame. And then also you just want to look for resources around the college community in which you can work and see if they do have some type of a payment plan, or just where you could pay on it just a little bit, and then not have to take out as much of a loan, because it does sound like you're going to have to go down that route. But all loans aren't created equal, so you want to make sure you get loans that don't accrue interest until you finish school. So yeah,
Okay.
sounds like that list that Brett's going to send out to you is going to be very helpful.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Good luck out there, man. Good luck out there. All right, brothers. I gotta get going here, but awesome day, awesome information. You know.
Good stuff, fellas, good stuff. And thank you again, Dr. Hart. So next Saturday, don't forget 11 o'clock. You get to listen to some good stuff, some more good stuff. So enjoy the rest of the weekend. Email me if you guys have any other questions, and we'll get that information for Ms. Polly out to you guys pretty soon.
Absolutely. Y'all take care. Be safe out there, bros.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all take care. Take it easy.
All right. Y'all be
All right,
safe, man.
y'all take it easy.
All right, y'all.